All right, let's get this chat going and the room going, and then we will begin. So today's class is distance healing. And distance healing is huge. You can do so much with it. I'm just going to give a minute for a couple more people to join. It's only just past 6 now. We are in the manual. We're on section 6. Still working on offering Reiki treatments. Hoping everyone is feeling good about what they've learned so far in the last classes. Personal preparation we go over every time we do a treatment. Space preparation, we've been working on using the palms of your hands, the palm chakras, to heal the energy of the room before you start working. And that's just as important as balancing your own energy before you start working. All right. So let's get talking about distance healing. So distance treatments, or they're also known sometimes as absentia Reiki. I don't see that very often anymore, but it is another way that it's spoken about, absentia Reiki. And there's a sequence of the symbols. So a way to use the symbols while doing distance healing. So let's talk about that. We're on page 5 of the manual. It's the page that looks like this. Okay. So the purpose of a distance treatment, well, it can be many. There's many reasons why you'd want to give a distance treatment. But we're going to talk about giving a distance treatment in this context as if you're giving a full body treatment. So the first thing you always want to do is bring Reiki into the room that you, the practitioner, are in. And you do that by starting Reiki flowing with the power symbol, with Choku-rei. And you put that into the room just like you normally would, and you put it onto yourself just like you normally would for your self protection and balancing. Then you build a connection with the distance symbol and your guides, and you do that by starting Reiki flowing with the Choku-rei. Okay, now the Choku-rei is just getting Reiki flowing and starting the intention. Then you draw the distance symbol, and you draw the distance symbol and chant the mantra and feel the energy of the symbol specifically to build that bridge, that connection, that way of communicating between yourself, your heart, and the heart and soul of the client that you're working on. Whether that's an animal, a person, a place, a time, a plant, that doesn't matter. The goal is to build an energetic connection between your soul and their soul. So this is a much deeper work just by default than your standard hands-on, because hands-on is physical treatment. And it can be much more than that, but at this level, hands-on really is working on the physical body. When we're doing distance, there's no physical body to work on. So we're really dealing with the soul and the energetics of the body. And so that's why it's very, very important that you have your self-protection and your grounding and your centering down for these treatments, because you don't want to walk into your client's energetic space, energetic body, and start messing with things and dropping crap all around and, just generally messing up their system. That's not the point, right? It's not the point. So then you just go ahead and do a treatment like you normally would. So it's that chokurei in the room, chokurei and distance. It's those kind of three symbols that start the distance treatment that are really different from any other treatment. Then you're just going to essentially imagine walking through a hands-on treatment with your client on the table, head to toe, front to back, using the symbols as you normally would on a hands-on treatment. Okay, so original chokurei to break up dense energy, open blockages, to intensify healing. Reverse chokurei to decrease extra energy, to decrease the power of an old emotional scar, to pull out physical manifestations of energetics. The Seihei key to deal with emotional imbalances. That's all the same in terms of the symbols. And then when you complete the treatment, the same way, you'll still end with the spinal cooler and the double chokurei to seal the treatment in, absolutely. Then you use the reverse chokurei to turn Reiki off. Okay? So that's how symbols work in a distance healing treatment. And you're probably going to want to have the distance treatment cheat sheet that's got the symbols. You can find this on the dojo, the distance treatment cheat sheet. You're probably going to want to have that handy for the first couple of times because that's going to make it a lot easier to remember. But honestly, it's just like preparing yourself for a client. You get used to the process. You're not going to forget about it. It's just it becomes a natural flow, just like doing your hands-on treatments do. All right, so let's flip to the next page. All right, let's talk about what distance healing really is, because we often don't accept, or our brains can't wrap around the vastness of what distance healing really means. Okay, so think about it. You can send Reiki to anyone, anywhere, in any time, in any existence, in the known and unknown universes. Okay, so just like take a step back and let your mind expand to what that means. Now, let's be real. Right now, you're sending distance to your friend across the city, or possibly across the globe, or maybe just in the room next door. You're not going to be doing the level 3 stuff yet. It takes practice, it takes time, it takes dedication to get to that point. But I am telling you, you can connect to, for example, other versions of yourself in other timelines, in other universes. I have done it. You can do it too. But I didn't do it the very first day I learned how to do distance treatments. Decades later. Distance, but I just want you to understand, open your mind. It's possible. It's possible to do these things. Okay. Distance healing allows you the ability to look deeply into the body, mind, soul, and karma of the client. So it's an honor to be given permission to do that. And you need to treat it that way, because our clients are in a very vulnerable position when they're allowing us into their energetic space, into, a space that generally no one ever gets to go. And there isn't a whole lot of hiding anything in there. So they're quite vulnerable, and it is an honor and a privilege to be able to do that. So treat it that way. Treat it that way. When you perform a distance healing, you are cutting through the mundane world. and you're getting immediately to the heart of the client's issues. So none of this should have, could have, would have, the rules say, society says, I'm expected to. No, there's none of that. We're getting to the heart of the issue, the heart of what actually needs to be dealt with, not what we think we should do or what we think other people want us to do, but truly what our bodies and souls need us to do. And that can be very different. You're able to work directly with the client's energy systems as well as each individual organ system, joint, bone, tooth, tissue, even down to the cellular level. You can get right to a very specific cell. Say, this cell needs this energy shift, this change, and you can make that happen. Absolutely. It's fascinating. It's amazing. It blows your mind. And it's awesome. And it works. It works. The key is that you need to allow, your client needs to allow that work to remain. And as we know, we can do all the fixing we want, but if the client doesn't accept it or make the effort to solidify that change in their own life, in their own energy system, in their own bodies, it's just going to switch back. But it is amazing to watch the changes happen. And there's no stopping you from doing it every day, all day, if you need to, and if your client agrees. So the key to distance treatment, the key is trust. Trust that your mind is interpreting correctly. Now, this is why having a really strong relationship with your guides really matters. It really matters. You need to build that strong relationship, understand your communication language, understand the quirks of your guides, understand the quirks of your communication, and trust that what they are telling you is true and accurate. And trust only comes by building, trust only comes with time and proof that trust won't be broken. So that's one of the reasons to build a relationship with your guides early. And when you are working with a client in distance, their guides need to give permission for the work to happen, and their guides will help guide you to where your client needs the most attention. And so sometimes we don't speak the same language as our clients' guides do, and we're having a hard time getting the message. And that's where your guide comes in as a translator between your conscious and your client's guide. So again, so important to have that relationship built with your guides. And that's why we start distance healing with people who we know, people who we have a good understanding of where they're coming from, and an understanding of their life history, where they've been, where they think they're going. So there's not a lot of guesswork. When you're doing a distance treatment for a stranger and you don't know any of those things, man, it's hard to trust that what you're seeing is true. And so practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. Start with animals. Start with your pets. Start with your plants. Start with your family members, friends, people you are close to, people who you can ask ridiculous questions of, and they won't get embarrassed and they'll be willing to share with you. That's going to be really important, because you need to be able to ask those weird, crazy things like, did you break your leg when you were a kid? Like, what's going on in your left femur or whatever, And then they can say yes or no, or they can say, no, but I almost did. Or there was this story that came up that caused an injury to my leg, but it didn't break. Okay, now you have a better understanding of what that energy is that you're feeling in their body, and how you can then translate that later into what you might see in another body or in another spot of the body. You have to trust that your guides are communicating clearly with you. You have to trust that your intuition is good and clear and solid. Trust is the key to distance healing. It really is. Because we're dealing so closely with our client's energy body, and because we are often working on a soul level, we're opening ourselves up to more energetic possibilities. Huge, huge. During a distance treatment, we are connecting our own energetic body to our client's energetic body, and this means we need to ensure that we have strong protective habits in place. We talk about this all the time in level 2. Practice, practice, practice. You just need to be able to be like, shields up. Let that shit go. Throw it away. This isn't for me. You got to be able to do that in a moment's notice when you're doing distance treatments. You need to be confident that your protective shields will actually protect you. Because when you're doing distance healing, what you'll find, or at least what I find in the way that my intuition works, is that sometimes it will give energies or diseases or experiences like a life of their own. So for example, I see cancer as these fairies, pixies, I guess, for lack of a better word. They're very spiky, and they come in different colors depending on the type of cancer that they are. So, I mean, you know, who could tell me that that's what I was interpreting, other than me being able to recognize that pattern and ask the right questions and trust that what I was seeing and experiencing is true and real. And I got to tell you, cancer, the energy of cancer is scary. So I needed to be able to trust that I could throw my shields up and be like, you aren't allowed in here. I'll communicate with you. I'll interact with you. I'll understand what it is that we need to do to help my client heal. But you're not getting anywhere near me. And I had to be confident in my shields so that I could feel comfortable in doing the treatments. Yeah, because you don't want to be scared or ungrounded or uncentered when you're doing these sessions. It just opens us up for further damage to ourselves, and we don't want that. You should create a safe space to perform your healing within. So your meditation space, your treatment room, or you can create a sacred grove or temple, like a mind temple. I actually do both. So I will do my distance healing at my altar with a sacred circle created, just like we learned in level 3. And I then go to my mind temple. It's a grove for me, where I kind of hold all of my intellectual and magical and mental tools, where I feel safe, where I feel connected. And from that space, I have now built sort of a doorway that out of this section of the grove opens up to create the doorway to the bridge where I meet my guides and my clients' guides. Whether you decide to go that far or simply have a sacred circle in your meditation space, that's fine. But you do need to have an energetically safe space to work. You want to make sure that you clear your space just like you would for an in-person treatment. Don't half-ass it. I mean, you can, but if we are charging for our sessions, we should be doing it properly. We should be doing it properly. So if we're talking about doing a head to toe, full body treatment for a single client, how to do it properly. Okay. So just as you would prepare for a client in your treatment room, you're going to prepare for a client distance-wise. You're going to create sacred space. You're going to energetically clear that space. You're going to put up your own shields. And you're going to ensure that you clear your own energy as well before and after the session. And then, of course, you're going to set the intention to perform a distance healing. Typically speaking, if you're performing a distance healing, there's a specific reason why you're doing it. People don't just say, well, sometimes they do, but generally they don't just say, I just need to relax. Will you send me some Reiki? They're usually like, I broke my foot. I'm in Spain. Can you send me some healing? I got to find my way home. You know, these kinds of things. Or, I'm bedridden, I can't come to you. Can you send me some healing for this issue that I'm dealing with that's causing me to be bedridden, right? So you'll set that intention to do the distance healing and for the specific issue that you and your client have already discussed ahead of time before you booked the distance healing. All right, so you are energetically prepared. You've set your intention. Now, of course, you're going to turn Reiki on, just like you would in your room, in your treatment room. And you're going to ask your guides to assist you in the healing and to set your intention for the session. So you're going to inform your guides why you're doing the work. They already know, but it's polite. Get everyone on the same page. Now, for myself, I go into meditation. I go to my mind temple, and then from there I usually open a doorway with the double chokure and the distance symbol, which kind of opens the bridge to the connection that I want to make. Now, what I see, and one of the reasons why I bought this deck, I see this, if you can see. That's what I see. There. So this deck is from the early 2000s, 2007. And I came across this deck and was like, oh my God, that's what I see. So I pre-ordered it before it was even out. This is an awesome deck. I love it. Everyone's bridge will be different. My bridge now, it's not like that anymore. Now it's just sort of more like a rainbow bridge, like Asgard rainbow bridge, off into space. And I meet in the middle of the bridge, so kind of like between the moon and the sun. There is a huge cherry or peach tree that's blossoming and a beautiful bench to sit on and some grass. And I walk from my sacred space out into that space. And the reason I visualize it that way is because I'm taking myself out of this mundane world, out of all of the rules and regulations and things that I have to follow. I don't need to listen to any of those rules. I can be up in this higher realm where I don't have to follow any of those rules. So that's one of the specific reasons that I do that. Hi, Doreen.
Hi.
Hi. So we're talking about distance healing and getting, opening up the bridge. I was just explaining what my bridge looks like out in space. So it sounds like you've muted yourself. That's awesome. Thank you. I am recording just so that you're aware. We'll get right back into it. So once you've built your bridge, okay, you're building this ether tube stretching out from you to your client in the time that you want to treat them. So let's say I want to treat myself for an injury that I had when I was 6. Then I would send that bridge out to myself in that year as a 6-year-old child, to that person in that place at that time. All right. So when that's all built, you're going to invite your client's guides to join you on the bridge at that central point. So for me, it's at the blossoming tree with the bench. And when the guides come, you're going to introduce yourself and tell them what the dealio is and why you've called them. And you're going to ask permission. Is it okay for me to perform this treatment for this person as they've requested? 99% of the time they're going to say yes. If they say no, ask why. Maybe certain shifts need to happen. Or maybe you need to change your intention for the treatment. And again, this is why communication with the guides and your ability to speak freely with them and understand them clearly really matters. Really matters, because you need to be able to say, oh, why not? What can I do to be of service for my client right now? They've requested a treatment. You're saying, no, we can't do what we planned. What's the next step? And then, of course, ask for the guide's assistant, because their job is to be there for their person, your client. It's their job to be there to serve your client. And they should be a part of this healing process, because they can help to translate the energy. They can help to focus the energy as needed. They can help direct where we should be spending our attention. So you want to invite them to join you and to take part in the treatment. And then, depending on the type of treatment that you're giving, you can also ask the client or the guides if they will hold on to that treatment until it is time and appropriate for the client to receive the treatment. So there's 2 ways to offer a distance treatment. One is not in person, obviously, but in real time. So I am talking to you right now. We're planning what our session is going to be. Once we've set everything in motion and we've set our intentions, I'm going to say to you, okay, I would like for you now to turn on some music or maybe listen to a specific guided meditation that I provide. I want you to turn off the phone, because I don't like them paying attention to me while I'm doing the work. I just want to do the work and then come back and talk to them. But you can keep them on the phone if you prefer. If you prefer to have live chat, that's fine. And then begin the session with them right then and there. And like I said, you can have live chat with them. I prefer to follow up via email afterwards, because I want them to be able to just go right to sleep if they need to and not have to worry about being polite to me or anything like that. Ooh. Excuse me. Okay, so if, on the other hand, you're doing the session, say while your client's working or driving, and they can't receive the session at that time, but it's appropriate and convenient for you to do the work at that hour of the day, then what you can do is you can ask the guides to sort of encapsulate the treatment. So if you imagine, like, you know, those commercials on TV where they have like the capsules that they split apart and all the little balls roll out. Imagine a capsule like that, but instead of the little balls, it's all the energy that you are creating and building up for your client goes into that capsule. When the treatment is done, you seal the capsule up and give that capsule to the guide and say, release this treatment to my client when they're ready for it, when they request it. And then in that case, you just let your client know, okay, I've done the treatment. This is the feedback that I got. You can receive it when it's most convenient for you. Simply go into meditation, connect with your own guides, and ask them to release the treatment to you. And that works exactly the same, just as easily, just as well. The only difference is that you don't have that one-on-one communication in real time, but you can do that afterwards. It works really well. Clients love it. I love it because it's convenient for me. I can do it at midnight or 6 a.m, and they can receive it, before they're going to bed. All right. Then if you've gotten permission, you've laid the groundworks, now you just let the Reiki flow. So invite the client's soul in, the client's energy in. And what you'll tend to see is an energetic map or diagram. Everyone's vision is a little bit different, or everyone's interpretation is a little bit different. But the way that I see it is sort of like, depends on what layer of the body I'm looking at. Like maybe I might see all the veins, or maybe I might see all the bones, or maybe I might see just the energy of the aura. So I invite all of that in together to this safe space under the tree with my guides and their guides. And we all circle around the client. And then I have the client lay down, float in between all of us. And I start a treatment just like I normally would. Hands over eyes. What am I feeling? What am I seeing? And just go through all the hand placements as I'm guided to do that. And then if I need to, I can, kind of like Iron Man, open everything up and look at the heart. Okay? So that's what you're doing. If you need to focus on the heart, focus on the heart. If you need to follow that vein down to the finger, follow that vein down to the finger and see what needs to be fixed and focus that energy there. And generally speaking, I find a distance treatment is much faster. They don't tend to, again, you're not working through any of the mundane crap. You're right there on the energetic level. So you're getting to the heart of the problem without having to ask questions and dig to get there. So typically about 45 minutes to an hour. Plus, of course, your setup and tear down time as well. So then when the treatment is done, if the client's on the phone with you, you would finish up as you would in person. Okay, we're all done. Let's have a chat. Get yourself some water. Let's talk through what's going on. If the client is not with you in real time, then you would sort of package it all up in a nice bow. Do the spinal cooler like you normally would, sweep the aura like you normally would, and then sort of bid farewell to that energetic body and thank your guides and their guides for being present. I usually ask the guides to take good care of them. And then we part ways. They go back their way down the bridge, back towards the client's physical body, and I come back my way, back towards my mind temple. And then while I'm sitting in that meditative state is when I will write the report for the client, write them an email saying, these are the things that came up. This is the homework you need to work on. If you have any questions, you are welcome to a 15-minute phone call or further questions via text or email. And then I shut down the mental temple and I close up the sacred space that's in the real world, my treatment space, and thank my guides and everyone who was helping and clean my body like I normally would. Ooh, excuse me, for a hands-on session. Okay, so that is a distance treatment in a nutshell. Things you want to think about before you do your first session. If you're treating your client in real time, are you going to call them ahead of time? Or are you going to call them after the session? Are they going to remain on the phone or in video chat with you throughout the session, or hang up and then call back? All of those are acceptable. It's just what works best for you and for your client. Something else you need to think about. How are you going to prepare your client for the treatment? Are you going to have them do a meditation? Are they going to listen to specific music? Will you tell them what to feel? Are you going to have a full intake? You should have a full intake, just like you would for a hands-on treatment. Exactly the same. I like to give my clients a meditation to do, because otherwise they're kind of just lying there thinking too hard about, like, oh, am I feeling something? Is something happening? And they just can't get into it. So I give them a meditation that I provide for them to do that is about 30 minutes long. And then I say, you'll probably fall asleep. You're very welcome to stay asleep. I will email you afterwards, and you just get back to me when you're ready if you need to. So, do you need to prep your client to prepare their space in any way? For example, do they need to turn off their phones? Do they need to make sure the cats are locked out of the room? Do they need to set an alarm so that they don't oversleep? Will they be cold? Do they need a pillow or blankets? These kinds of things. The same kind of way that if you're going to make your client comfortable in the treatment space, you want them to be comfortable when they're having a distance treatment. All right. In the big purple book, that's this one here. Now, in mine is page 48. I will show you what the page looks like, because every version of this book he changes. So this is the Reiki symbols section, and the distance healing symbol starts right down there, and it is page 48. And it goes to page 50. That's what I'm referencing here. I'm just referencing it so that you know what to reference and read. On page 50, there's a section in the book that talks about using the symbol. And then he talks about also doing distance healing, empowering goals, lots of different ways to use the symbol that are interesting and fascinating and really worth trying. All right. Now, there's lots of different ways that we talk about using the distance symbol in this class. The first one is, remember when you made those flashcards? Now, did I pull any out myself? So this is my distance healing box. And in it I have distance healing requests. I don't think there's any symbols in this bunch, but let's see. Oh yeah, I do have symbols. Okay, so you make a sandwich. This is a quick and dirty way to do a healing. Chokure, distance symbol, chokure, healing request, person's name, what they're requesting, possibly time, date, location. Honestly, if you can picture the person in your mind, that's all that matters. But lots of people say you should have a space and a time and a location. You don't need any of that shit. But it might make it easier for you. So try it. Maybe it makes it easier for you. I don't find that I need it. And the thing is, in the beginning, you might need it, and later you won't. So if it makes it easier for you to connect to the client, knowing their address and their location and all those things, or having a picture of them to gaze at, that's fine. Now in this case, I added extra symbols that I know are appropriate to the requests. Seal the treatment in with double choke array. Finish the treatment with reverse choke array. So that's a sandwich treatment. Put it between your hands. Let the energy flow. Quick and dirty, you're not obviously going to have, you don't have to have a sacred circle. You don't have to have symbols. You don't have to be grounded. Well, you should be grounded and centered, but you don't need to put your shields up and all that. You're just sending energy, kind of like a crystal grid. You're just sending energy to the intention. And you're sending energy as often or as long as you need to. In this technique, you can add as many requests as needed before the double choke array, and you can send to everything all at once. Okay. Again, send for as long as necessary. Into my box. As I walk past the box, I shoot some energy at it as I'm thinking about it. Quick and dirty, easy way to just send love and light. You might have written requests for help or pictures. So on the next page in your manual, there is a sample distance healing questionnaire. This is a good way to get your client thinking about what they're releasing if they really want to do some serious work. You can fill it out with them in person. It's actually better if you guide them through this process yourself, because oftentimes the client will not go deeply enough. So walk them through this process. And then what you can do is use the paper to represent your client. The top is the head, the bottom are the feet, the front is the front of the body, the back is the back of the body. And you just put your sheet down and treat like you would normally treat. So a little bit more intense, a little bit more focused than the sandwiching technique, but still not quite as intense as the first process that we went through. You should actually have your client go through this process with you, go through this questionnaire with you, if you're going to do that in-depth treatment with guides and over the bridge and such. Of course, when you're doing this and using this as a representation of the client, you want to go through a little bit more of a process. So cleanse and center yourself, put your shields up. You may even want to create a sacred circle, build the bridge with the intention that this piece of paper represents your client, and then go ahead and do the treatment as you normally would, as we've discussed. You can actually do the same thing with a teddy bear or a doll of any kind, or even a pillow. The pillow would be more like the sheet of paper. Top is the head, bottom is the feet, front and back. Teddy bear has legs and arms and ears and eyes and nose. So you can even get a little bit more specific in doing the treatments with the teddy bear. And then again, definitely ground and center yourself. Put your shields up as you normally would. You could even call in your guides to support. Open the energetic tube. The other suggestion is to use your leg. So I don't know if you can see me, but your leg then represents your client. So your knee is their head, your thigh is their feet, left and right, and work your way down. Or just use your imagination. Honestly, the imagination is the way that I like to do it the best. Love it. All right. So now is the time when we would do practicing in an in-person class, but let's skip that and talk about world issues and sharing and journaling. So William Lee Rand has created these grids, these crystal grids, and he's actually put several now all over the world, but he started with one in the South Pole and one in the North Pole. And then from there, he's put them all over the world. And they're actually regular meditation Reiki shares where people will send to these grids all together at the same time in different parts of the world. It's quite beautiful. It's quite a lovely way to spend an hour. And it's kind of nice to be part of that community. Absolutely worth doing. Something to consider. You can also do distance healing as part of a group meditation, kind of like loving kindness meditations, similar to that. Beautiful way to work with the energy selflessly. All right. I want to remind you that it's really important to journal about your experiences when you're doing distance healing. If you don't journal about it, you will forget the little details, and those little details matter, and they're what's going to help you become better at what you do. So journal, journal, journal. Take amazing client care notes. That's important, first and foremost. And then journal afterwards about what you learned about. Okay? All right. So what I'm going to suggest now is that you turn the video off. Go practice doing distance healing in multiple different ways, with the flashcards, on a teddy bear, having done an intake questionnaire with a friend or client or family member. You can use that one as one of your case studies if you wish. And I'm going to stop the video and start again to talk about using Reiki in everyday life. So enjoy your practicing.